back?
He's back from the hospital.
What's he like?
Just mumbled.
Oh.
Just mumbled.
That was what?
He didn't recognize me. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, he recognized me. Last week he didn't.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
They're vicious with you. So I understand.
Didn't look like he had his hands on it.
So, nobody golfed today, I guess, eh? Or maybe Mel did.
Morley.
Mel did. Morley did. I saw that. You guys said was sleeping.
Well, the golf ball said, oh my. You have 3 with these back.
There's a steakhouse we have been to, it's called Chops.
I've been there.
That's 20 years ago.
I've been there in a good experience.
What about the ones down in Tennessee? The steakhouse down in Tennessee? Right behind the Steinbeck Credit Wars or something.
Boil it yourself at the plate.
What about the one on 40?
Portage and
How about the one
Warwick.
on, how about the one on, better one would be the one
Gilbert.
we go with. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. They're packed. I went there once.
You make reservations.
Of course.
Okay, how about Capital? Well, they're close to town.
It's also a show.
Not smart. Just ride down Fordham.
Adonai roi lo exal Vino beshiar vitzeini Al mei menuchot ינעלני נפשי ישובם יענקני ומגלה צדק למען שמו גם כי אלק וגיא מוות ודרה כי אתה עמדי יפתחה ונשענתך המה ינחמוני תערוך לפני שולחן נגד שורדיי דשענת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה אהבתו בחסד ידיפוני כל ימי חיי ושבתי לבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm, Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, shall not want. Giving me reposing green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's answer. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Stop at your welcome. Prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever.
Thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you everyone at home for tuning in. My name is Rabah from Congregation Shaarey Zedek, and it's my great honor to be here officiating the funeral services for Morley Rypp Z of blessed memory. Morley was also known within the Jewish people by his Hebrew name, Moshe Leib ben Yosef Halevi Rivka, Zichrono Livracha. He was the son of Joseph and Rose Rypp of blessed memory, the husband of the late Shaarey Rypp of blessed memory, brother of the late Maya Rypp of blessed memory, the father of Robin Rypp and Arnie Usiskin, and Howie and Beatrice Rypp, the grandfather of Mayan, Beth, Jackie, Adam, and Nathan, the great-grandfather of Edie, Basil, Tom, Eli, Omri, Maya, and Tamar. King Solomon writes, Tov Shem, Mishem en Tov, Veyom Hamavet, Miyom Hivaldo. A good name is better than good oil, good perfume. And the day of death is better than the day of one's birth. We have often focused on the first part of this verse, where we understand that the value of a good name is priceless. The second half, though, often leads to confusion. Don't we learn that life must be protected at all costs, and only in the rarest occasions is death preferred over life? One explanation is that only at the time of one's passing can his accomplishments be truly appreciated, and his name is known and more meaningful than it is at birth. When a person is born, his name is perhaps just a label. True, we chose a name with hopes and desires and dreams of what that child will accomplish. And although we typically name for someone, that name rarely tells us anything about the newborn infant. Eventually, though, that name becomes associated with a child who becomes an adult and truly lives on after the person. Last Friday, August 11, Morley Rypp passed away unexpectedly at the age of 92. And Morley will be remembered for many things. But the most important legacy that he leaves behind is his good name. His exceptional kindness and compassion for friends and family. His passion for life and his wisdom. His welcoming smile and friendly demeanor will endure forever. I met Morley at the Shaarey Zedek, when he and Shirley wouldn't miss a Shabbat service for anything in this world. I will always remember that big and contagious smile coming from the chapel during services and continuing all over the Kiddush time, uplifting the spirits of everyone around him. His love for the Shaarey Zedek accompanied Morley until the end. Unfortunately, the pandemic represented a big risk for Morley's health, and he couldn't come in person anymore. But he found comfort and connection with the shul in the live streaming. Morley was also an accomplished pharmacist. First, with his own business in Corridon, and eventually in the Shoppers Drug Mart at River and Osborne, where he worked until retirement. When Morley was in high school, he lived in Pritchard Avenue, and he was part of a basketball team out of the Stella Mission on Stella Avenue in the North End. They were called the Stellars, winning the championship on 1950 and 1951. Every 5 years or so, the whole team will have a reunion to remember those glorious years. Morley also played basketball for the U of M Bisons when he was in university. Basketball was his sport. He wouldn't miss an NBA game for anything in this world. His other passion, totally unknown to me, was boating. Boats. He owned different boats, big boats, that he will take up and down the river, sometimes going all the way to Lake Winnipeg. While most people will dream with a cottage, Morley will dream with a boat. He will keep the boat at the Manitoba Yacht Club, and in the summer, he will take the whole family to the lake. Morley was also awarded with the Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee Medal for his community service. He volunteered for many, many years at many organizations. You see, the masters of Kabbalah teach that God's nature is to give. The Creator is a giver, and we were created as receiver of God's blessings. But at the same time, we are image of God, and our goal lies in developing God-like values, hopefully becoming givers as well. And even though Morley gave back to society without expecting any recognition, it was nice that his years of volunteering were properly noticed and rewarded. We should all learn, like Morley, to give for the sake of giving, and to receive in order to give to others. Because when we give, we are all like our Creator. Morley volunteered all his life, especially after retirement, when he had more time in his hands to serve others. He will drive performers during the jazz festival or volunteering for the Fringe Festival, etc. He also had a strong connection to Israel, and having a son living there make it easier to plan visits to our homeland. Morley was a devoted husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. So, this is the time when some of his family members will have the opportunity to present their eulogies. So to begin with this process, I'd like to invite first Morley's 3 granddaughters together, Beth, Jackie, and Mayan.
Our Baba Shaarey always used to say, "Good people get rain when they die." On August 11th, the day of Morley's passing, the clouds were heavy with rain and released drizzles throughout the hours following his death. I in Toronto, Beth in Winnipeg, and Mayan in New York experienced the heaviness of the rainfall from where we were, collectively feeling the magnitude of the loss of our beloved Zeta Morley. Our Zeta was a warm, gentle, and loving person. He always stayed on top of the latest news, from sports to business, culture to politics. He had his opinions, Sometimes we agreed, and sometimes we agreed never to agree. But it was always with a smile, always with love and care, and real interest in our lives. I loved drinking a glass of whiskey with him. He valued and took so much joy in being with his family. Watching the warm relationship he had with his children, our parents, was a great inspiration. I hope for a relationship like that with my son. Now that I have Tom, I guess the circle of life is becoming more clear to me.
Although he is no longer with us, we will forever hold on to the many memories we have of him. As little girls, he'd always be there for us to drive us to our lessons, look after us when we were homesick, attend our recitals, and give us the greatest vacations, including summers on his boat in Gimli and winters on Marco Island. As adults, he continued to be our greatest supporter, always willing to share his knowledge and offer advice on matters in life and work. We are so lucky to have had him in our lives this long. We owe a great deal to my mom, Robin, for this. By being the primary support system for Zedek after our Baba's passing, she was vital in ensuring that he was able to experience life's many pleasures, despite some of the health challenges he faced. Thank you, Mom. From trips to Puerto Vallarta, Israel, and Winnipeg Beach to bi-weekly family gatherings and many meals shared celebrating birthdays and special occasions, these are only some of the moments that we will always cherish. Many of these experiences, of course, coincided with the joys of being an Uber Zeta and building beautiful bonds with his great-grandchildren.
While we are deeply heartbroken by our Zeta's departure, we will forever be inspired by the manner in which he lived by his own right until the very end. We will always miss you, Zeta. Your infectious smile, sage wisdom, and kind-hearted nature will always be remembered.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite now Howie and Beatrice to come to the microphone.
Vanity of vanities, said King Solomon in the Bible. All is vanity. But not all. There is love, and Morley knew. He knew how to give and receive. Without saying it, we simply felt. Once a friend asked me, "What did you do all the time in Winnipeg?" I told her I held his hand, Morley's hand. We sat there next to each other, and I held his hand. I came to Canada for the first time with Howie over 30 years ago to meet his parents. I was divorced and a mother of 2 small children, but that didn't deter Morley. At the end of that visit, he asked Howie, "Are you not going to propose marriage to that beautiful girl?" Morley never judged me, not the two of us. He was happy in our happiness. He was proud with our achievements. He valued and respected them and filled his walls with pictures and posters of us and our work. Dear Morley, it was wonderful to have known you. It was easy to love you and hold your hand. Once a long time ago, Mayan and Nathan, as young children, were preparing their homework and asked Morley, "Are you Jewish?" And Morley answered, "Yes." "How?" "I obey the 10 Commandments. Do not kill, do not lie, do not betray, do not envy, honor your father and mother." I didn't ask about God, but we knew that Morley had all the good in his heart. When Eli and Omri were born, Morley was there as a great-grandfather for the beginning, once again, to give and to receive. When he was visiting us in Israel, we always went together with the boys to choose presents for them. You left us beautiful presents, Morley, precious presents, a perfect role model, filled with inspiring and sweet memories. Thank you, Morley. Thank you. Rest in peace. We are here and we will remember you always.
In the last few years, I would always say to my father, "Dad, please don't scrimp on yourself. Fly first class. Treat yourself. You earned it." But he always was reluctant to spoil himself. When I insisted, "Dad, you can't take it with you," he'd reply, "I'm not going." But he did go, and now he's gone, and it's so really hard to comprehend. But he has left behind so many people that truly love and appreciate him. My dad was someone that was truly a pleasure to be with. He had so many great attributes that it's impossible to bring them all into a concise eulogy. If you looked up the word mensch in Wikipedia, you would surely find Morley Rypp as the best definition. He sure came a long way from his North Winnipeg upbringing. Those were the roots that gave him his street smarts. A lot of us know that he was in the famed Stellars basketball team, which won the National Canadian Basketball Championship 2 years in a row, and even placed him in the Hall of Fame, the Sports Hall of Fame. But more importantly, it built his character. Whenever they wanted to rough someone up on the other team or to get someone on the other team to foul out, the coach sent Morley on that mission, and he'd battle under the backboards. The game also ingrained in him a profound sense of justice and doing the right thing. And one of the playoffs, the opposing team, actually was a championship game, had a lot of their players fouled out, evidently due to my dad's great contribution. And when they only had 4 players who could play, so the Stellars also took a man out and played with 4 instead of 5 that they could have had. And even later, when the opposing team were left with 3, so the Stellars took an additional man, so it'd be as even a match as possible. And even though they won in New Brunswick in that game, they received a standing ovation from the local crowd. It was basketball that helped shape and build his strong character and his belief in being in a team, which gave him so much pride in a lifelong relationship with the stellar team members, celebrating 25, 30, even 50-year reunions. Basketball also taught him the importance of hard work. My father was a workaholic, and aside from the pleasure he found in boating in his later years, he would spend most of his life working very long hours, but enjoying every minute, giving everyone at his store the feeling of how happy he is to see them, and made them feel how important they are. This was still a time when the personability in business came way before considerations of downsizing human resources to increase profits. People would shop at Rypp's pharmacy because they loved to see Morley Rypp, and they would just come in just so they could talk to him. When he eventually retired, I was worried he'd go crazy staying at home without all his customers being surrounding him, but this was not the case. He volunteered at almost every cultural festival Winnipeg had to offer. At the Winnipeg Fringe Festival, everyone knew my dad and mom as leading volunteers. At the Winnipeg Jazz Festival, or Writer Festival, he'd pick up the artists at the airport and relished having a chance to spend special moments with them while showing them that friendly Manitoba really was friendly. My dad was unbelievably bright and lucid right till the end. His morning ritual always began by reading the Winnipeg Free Press from cover to cover. Not that it's such a thick and weighty paper, but he knew everything about what was going on and loved to learn as well as to pass on to others his learning. He loved to have a good argument, but never a confrontation. This was because he was such an accepting, tolerant, and loving person. He was a proud Jew going to synagogue regularly and joining the services on Zoom throughout the pandemic. Also an ardent Zionist who cherished his visits to Israel. Before the pandemic, he'd come to visit us for 4 to 6 weeks every year, escaping the Winnipeg winters. And upon his return, immediately book his flight for his next visit a year in advance. He cherished the rich cultural scene and loved encountering and experiencing the vast history and various religious perspectives that Israel had to offer. Beatrice and I, of course, loved his visits with us and cherished the tours we'd make together throughout the country, or just the Shabbat family dinners we'd share. He was never a burden, never complained, participated wholeheartedly, and was always with that huge appreciating smile. And of course, everyone in Israel loved him. Just in the last couple of days, I'm amazed by so many Hebrew condolences that are flooding the social media with fond memories of him, and how much everyone appreciated who he was. He gave us such a great example to emulate. He was an amazing husband, so devoted and loving to my mother, especially during her last difficult years. My father displayed the patience of a saint. He was so proud of his family, and all his investments in us paid off big time. He never tired of being with his 3 bright and talented granddaughters, Mayan, Beth, and Jackie, and their spouses, Adam, Robert, and Max. He also unquestionably accepted Beatrice's 2 boys, Adam and Nathan. He immediately embraced them into our family, loving them and schlepping nachas from them as his own grandchildren. Until his death, he was also fortunate to watch the growth of 7 great-grandchildren, Eli, Omri, Maya, Edie, Tamar, Basil, and Tom. And until last Friday, he eagerly anticipated the new grandson due in the next 2 months. Always remember to ask Tali, Nathan's wife, how is she feeling? He also raised a caring, gifted, and giving daughter. Robin always made sure my father was included in every dinner, as well as integrating him into all of her and Arnie's social activities. Always worrying about every detail so his quality of life would be upheld. And again, everyone loved having Morley around to schmooze and laugh with, to drink, to eat, to discuss, and consult all matters public and personal. Both Robin and I have inherited so many of my father's good qualities, and there are so many more that we still need to use to guide us in this last third of our lives. He cherished his independence and did not want to be a burden on anyone. I feel so lucky to have had him as a father. Morley Rypp lived a long, fruitful life. He looked at life straight into its eyes without flinching, and he celebrated it, facing his failures together with his successes. Above all, he just enjoyed being with his family, his friends, and all the people he encountered, leaving his mark and his beautiful memory with all of us. My father lived as a mensch every day and died like a saint, quietly, painlessly before the Shabbat. Morley Rypp, Moshe ben Yosef Alevi, Baruch Dayan Amet. May you rest in peace, and may your memory always serve us all as the blessing it is.
Amen.
Thank you to all of you for such beautiful words. See, in Judaism we believe in the Olam Haba, the world to come, a world beyond this world. We usually understand that something in a different level, a different realm. But I also believe the Olam Haba, the world to come after we are gone, is happening right here in this world. This is what we sometimes call the legacy that we leave behind. And the legacy that Morley leaves behind is an amazing one. It's an amazing one. If there is somebody that I feel really bad that he wouldn't be able to see the new building of the Shaarey Zedek, is Morley Rypp. But I know that his legacy will also be felt at the Minyan, where he gave us, week after week, that beautiful smile, uplifting everybody around. In a world which is usually populated by complainers, especially the synagogues, he was all the opposite. He came with a smile and uplifting words every single time. And I just heard it from the eulogies. He was the same everywhere he went. May his memory be a source of blessing and comfort. Amen. I'm going to continue now with the memorial prayer, the El Maleh Rachamim. El Maleh Rachamim Shochen Bameroimim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei השכינה ומעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת משה לייב בן יוסף הלוי ורבקה שהלך לעולמו בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים ועד הזכרת נשמתו בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו לכם על הרחמים, אז תדעו בסדר כנעביו לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמתו, אדוני ונחלתו, וינוח ושלום על משכבו ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Morley Rypp, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. Please join me now in the recitation of the words of comfort, the words of the mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותה, וימליך מלכותה, בחי אחד וביום אחד, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, למירם בעלמה וימרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, בחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. המקום ינחם אתכם בתוך שערי ציון ירושלים. May God bless you and comfort you. And let us all say Amen. I have a few announcements before we can proceed with the burial part of the service. First one is that immediately after the service, everyone is invited to the meal of consolation. It's going to be at the event room of 141 Wellington Crescent. Again, 141 Wellington Crescent, event room. Just a little information. Remember that there is only street parking available at this time. Okay? So just plan accordingly. Also, it's going to be a Shiva in Morley's memory at 278 Harvard Avenue. Again, 278 Harvard Avenue, Monday to Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. There is not going to be a service at the house. The family is going to join the live streaming of the Shaarey Zedek at 6 p.m. So everybody is invited to come and visit with the families, maybe to share memories with them, pay your respects from 7 to 9, Monday to Thursday, 278 Harvard Avenue. Now, I would like to invite everyone to continue with the next stage of this service, which is to actively participate on the act of burial. And according to the rabbis, coming forward, getting a shovel, putting some earth on top of the coffin as an act of kindness. In fact, the rabbis call it an act of true kindness. So I would like to invite immediate family first to come forward. And after the children and grandchildren are done, everybody else is invited to come forward, pick up a shovel to participate. After that, please feel free to return to your transportation to proceed to the meal of consolation. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Thank you, everyone at home, for tuning in.
He was feeling sick, so we only took him for the
Oh, it's okay. I'm getting around.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll text you where we're going to go.
Yeah.
They
It's
don't
not
want to
really,
go
it's not
race.
really
That guy's great.
How about 20
Yeah.
Roma?
I think.
You let me know.
Huh?
You let me know.
Okay. The problem is, I have to go for a crown on Wednesday afternoon.
Here's where I can help you.
Can I, they're going to put a temporary on it. Can I eat?
Yeah, you can do it. Nothing sticky. You don't have anything that's really work for you. Well, that'll be hard. Because you bite into the ribs.
Not that,
We tooth is it? How far back is it? In the back?
front tooth.
Up front. What part of the rib?
Huh?
Something you can cut up. It would be better.
Okay, so I
Something you
won't
can cut
have,
up.
so I won't.
Or you order something else.
Well, that's about all you can order.
Chicken.
Well, we could go to, you can order, go to Ken and order salmon.
You can order fish or chicken. It's very Romans, they have fish.
But I think the
They
salmon.
got chicken for sure.
I think the salmon is
So if you'll remember on Thursday anyway.
Yeah.
I'll see you Wednesday night. I'm trying to keep it occupied, which is working so far.
Are you going to?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So you take either Tony or. Are you going for the fourth?
I went for a couple of tours. It's going to be amazing. Just a second.
Awesome.